Now, it's time to take a look at probably the weirdest vehicle in the mouse platoon, the Weasel. The Weasel is classified as a SPAA, although I've seen some texts that describe it as a IFV, so it's a very unique tank. Well, SPAA or whatever the hell it is actually. Now, most of the SPAAs are actually not that bad to drive. They have decent mobility, they have fantastic armament. Most of them have ATGMs, at least the high tier ones. Now, the Weasel does have a model that has a ATGM or a TOW system, but the Weasel that we get here doesn't have that. It has only a single 20mm autocannon, which has decent rate of fire. I mean, its penetration is okay for a 20mm cannon, but yeah, this is going to be a very, very painful tank to drive, well, SPAA to drive. It has no armor, of course. It is fast, it has 3 crew members, it is pretty solid speed there. But the main problem that I have with this vehicle is its suspension. This thing is very hard to control once it starts driving. You can drift all day long, but its suspension is so slippery. If I have to explain it, if I have to describe it somehow, I would say its suspension is so slippery. It makes it very difficult to control. And well, it has a turret that can't rotate that much. It can rotate only to a 180 degrees, and overall, you will see what I'm talking about when I start driving the vehicle. Now I'll be playing with maximum settings. Ray tracing will be enabled, highest possible settings, so yeah. The game will definitely look good, so let's... Oh my god, this is going to be so painful to drive this meme tank, but you know, I drive this tank so you don't have to. Oh man, let's go. Now, SPAA's primary goal is to shoot down aircraft. Most of the SPAAs have they have fast shells, fast projectiles. And the Weasel, while it does have some decent penetration with the APDS ammo, it penetrates up to 60mm with APDS. But it can only penetrate certain tanks from the side, and against anti-aircraft, in its anti-aircraft role, it also isn't the best because the shells are slow, very slow. The shells are also not that. It doesn't have a lot of shells in the magazine, like 100 shells per magazine with a longer reload. And yeah, it can shoot down aircraft, it can capture bases, it can kill some tanks, only from the side and only like up close, point blank basically, since its penetration is horrible. And it also has high explosive shells, but in my previous testings, the high explosive shells were completely and utterly useless. They weren't able to kill a bomber at all. So, yeah. This vehicle is not a vehicle that you want to drive if you want to enjoy the game, that's for sure. If you want to have a laugh, it works. But this thing is just, I don't know how to put it in words, but... And there are other SPAAs, and actually there is one tank within this platoon that has a better autocannon, and that's the Term 3. The Term has a 30mm autocannon with much better performance than the primary turret, than the primary gun on this thing, so yeah. And that's a mouse. I'm fairly sure I'll do so much damage to the mouse. It's going to remember the Weasel as, yeah, you're not going to do anything to a mouse with this thing. You're not even going to penetrate the main, I mean, you can break the tracks, but you can't really do anything else on most tanks. And the problem is, as you can see, you really have to aim up a lot, since the shells are quite slow. It is a low velocity 20mm main cannon. So at longer distances, even at short range, you are not basically able to see the tank. And this is also the problem when you want to shoot down aircraft. You have to aim way up if you want to hit anything flying towards you, or you know, if you want to have a proper anti-aircraft role with this vehicle. It really needs to have like much faster shells, so you don't have to imagine basically where the aircraft will be, since if you try to aim at the aircraft, you will have to aim so high up, the aircraft will be below your screen, so you can't really see it. And if they get too close to you, well, this thing has absolutely no armor, so yeah, the bombs or even the even the machine guns on the aircraft can just shred this thing to pieces. So yeah, if there is a tank that I would say that's absolutely useless, well, technically a tank vehicle, it has to be the Weasel, and that kind of makes me sad because the Weasel is such a cute little tank. Imagine if we got the Weasel with the Tau system, with a rocket. This thing would probably be one of my favorite tanks in the game, because this thing has all the traits that I like about a SPAA, because I mean it's a very small vehicle, it's very hard to hit if it's well hidden, it's speedy. The only thing that I would definitely improve is the suspension. It's really hard to drive this thing around, because I mean you can't even aim, you can't even use it as the other SPAs, because this thing is so slippery, and you can even turn it on its side if you're moving too fast. If you turn too fast, the tank just goes to its side, and yeah, can't make fast turns with this thing. I mean you can, but you have to be careful not to turn the tank. I actually managed to roll this vehicle a couple times. I don't know how I did that, but I was driving fast. I think there was a bump on the road or something, and the Weasel just did a 360 in the air somehow. I mean, this thing is an entire meme tank, and that's all there is to it. You can't really drive this tank and expect to have a very good score in the end. It is doable, but man, it's painful to do that. I did it only once, and I did not record that because I played for fun basically, didn't expect to do well. I got like 1.5 thousand points with this thing, and that's to date my best ever game I had with the Weasel. Everything else is just a fail, or you know. I tried, I mean the reason why I struggle with shooting down light armor vehicles is that the control. You can't control this thing at all. It's so slippery. Even if you want to turn, it will just start sliding all over the place. And yeah, you have to counter steer a lot when driving this. You can see the way my my finger moves there on the left. It is a very, oh, there we go, I did a 360 there. Okay, that wasn't expected. But yeah, that's the Weasel. I mean, that's how this thing. And well, let's play a couple more games, because let me tell you, this was probably the most painful video that I've done with this game, just because of how unpleasant it is to drive this thing. If it had a missile system, if it had a ATGM or a Tau system, and this thing would be so good, because it has all the necessary traits to be a very good missile carrier. And I really do hope that we do get the Weasel with the Tau, with the missile launcher, because man, when we do get that thing, that's going to be my favorite tank in the game. Or who knows, maybe they changed this Weasel, maybe they changed the Weasel 14A into the Tau Weasel, which I would definitely be a fan of. I would be driving this thing, and oh look, yeah, I forgot to mention, this thing is very light, and you can't break barriers, you can't break stuff like pipes and things. It has speed, but it's very light, and you can't really, I mean, I actually damaged my tracks there, by the way, so you can't really go around and ram things, because it's not a good idea. But yeah, that's just how the Weasel goes. I mean, again, my ideal ATGM or missile tank would definitely be the Weasel with the missile launcher, because there's so many positions where you can take with that thing, and knowing how the missiles so far have been working, it would have been a fantastic little ATGM spammer. I would love to have the Weasel with the missile launcher, and that's the only thing that makes. I mean, that's one of the things that makes me very sad about this vehicle. It could have been so good. If it had a missile launcher, this thing would be more than a meme. This thing would be a very scary little thing if it had a missile launcher, because of its other characteristics. I mean, they look really good, as I already mentioned. It has speed. It has. It's a very small vehicle, very easy to hide, very easy to take cover with this thing. Armor isn't a problem since ASP, AAs, and other missile carriers usually have absolutely no armor as well. One of the balancing factors would be the armor. And there we go, we have one tank over there somewhere. Yeah, I did do some damage to that thing. I did hit the transmission, but that's, yeah, I won't do more than that, that's for sure. That's a Ratel 20. They have a missile launcher, so I can't really just sit there and risk. I mean, it can probably take most of the ATGM fire and most of the machine gun fire, but again, it has no armor, so I wouldn't be playing with. I wouldn't be playing to try and tank all the machine guns. Its own machine gun isn't that good. I mean, the autocannon is not that good. The Term 3 has a better machine gun, which is a secondary weapon on that medium tank. So yeah, kind of the Term 3 kind of does the job better with the machine gun than the Weasel. Kind of funny how that goes, honestly. And well, most of the time with this tank, yeah, you are not going to be doing much in the whole game, and I'm ironically trying to get this thing to work, but unfortunately, oh look, there is a bomb next to me. Lovely. No, I did take some machine gun fire, but it survived. It's a very mobile tank. You can run around and capture positions, I guess. It is also a very small target, so if you're moving fast at distance, there's a good chance that the enemy will simply miss you, and that's what exactly happened here. So that's why I survived. The M48 wasn't able to hit me. You can technically try to flank tanks with the Weasel, but yeah, most of the enemy tanks are not going to let you do that. So yeah, only if they're like distracted, and that requires a very specific and ideal situation to occur. And honestly, if you're aiming to get a good score, if you're aiming to get good silver and good rewards and all, you do not want to drive the Weasel, because this is not a tank that is going to be, let's say, not a tank that's going to reward a very good score at the end of most games. It is possible, but it's not a tank that's going to do that all the time. The other vehicles within this platoon are just much better, like the Term 3 Leopard or Mouse. They simply are much more useful, unfortunately, than this little thing. Although, if you want to have a good laugh, if you want to have, you know, for the memes and stuff, then yes, you can drive this, but yeah. And as you can see, it should technically penetrate the Term 3, but it doesn't, because yeah, it's too far away. You can penetrate tanks, but only up close, almost nearly point blank, basically, since again, no armor, not much penetration with this 20mm autocannon. So yeah, even with the APDS ammo that has 60mm, its penetration significantly goes down at range. And after all, this is a short barrel 20mm, so yeah, you're not going to do much, obviously. You can destroy tracks, that's for sure, but that's about it. You can shoot tracks and maybe get lucky with some aircraft if the enemy decides to launch aircraft. If the enemy doesn't decide to launch aircraft, well, yeah, you are probably just going to run around and maybe capture positions or something, but not much else. And well, the match is already lost. I took one hit there from the side. And yeah, as you can see, I mean, there's... This thing is just really hard to drive around, because it's like, if you know the M4 and how the M4 performs, the M4 kind of the drift tank, well, this is much more worse and driftier, if that's actually a word, I don't know. But the M4, yeah, if you have the M4, the red one, the event M4, yeah, this is basically how this thing feels, just a lot more slippery. And let's go to the next match. Yeah, if I have fun with this thing, I don't know. Not really possible to have. I mean, I don't know. Is it possible to have fun with this tank? Probably, but it is a tank that's, well, tank SPAA, that I don't really know how to. I mean, you can capture positions. That's the only thing that I'm actually doing most of the time when I'm trying this thing out. Capturing positions, maybe shooting aircraft, but that's about. And of course, trying not to get killed. That's one very important thing about this tank. Oh, and there's a mouse. Lovely. I am definitely not going to be able to do anything to the mouse, that's for sure. I mean, I can get too close to it. I can get close to the mouse and basically be under the gun of the mouse, and that's going to be very annoying to the mouse, but... Is this tank able to do anything to the mouse? Nope. Not with a 20mm autocannon, that's for sure. It can shoot down the mouse tracks, that's for sure, but nothing else. Can't even destroy the tracks. And there we go, that was didn't plan to do that. Didn't really plan to do that, but the way how this thing works is once you actually try it out, you will see what I'm talking about. The controls are so bad for this thing. I really don't like the controls of the Weasel. It's literally like a tank on extra slippery ice, basically. Oh look, leopards. Yeah, didn't do anything to it. Although technically it should penetrate the leopard, but not at that distance. It has to be much closer if you want to do anything to it. And the ammo is actually stored on the turret, so you can get ammo racked quite easily with the Weasel if they hit the top magazines. So this tank is literally a no armor box with 3 crew members. Somehow they managed to fit 3 people inside. And look, there is a mouse and there is a Weasel. Well then, you have the biggest tank in the game and the smallest tank in the game in the same platoon. Isn't that convenient? I still have no idea what the snail thought to put a Weasel in the mouse platoon without the missile launcher. I really have no idea why they did that. They should have just given the mouse platoon a ATGM or missile carrier on the Weasel, and that this thing would be much better. Who knows? Maybe the snail does see the video and maybe they change their mind. I don't know. Well, I'll try to capture the second position here, because or not, or I break my tracks. Lovely. Yeah, see that almost broke my tracks. That little impact. So yeah, you have to be very gentle with this little tank, since this thing is a tin can basically. Well, capturing the base, at least I'm useful for something. At least the Weasel is useful for something. Would be funny to see a tournament only with Weasel tanks. That would be, oh my god. Yeah, that would be uh that would be a tournament that I would probably not participate in. And look, an aircraft. And yeah, did hit the aircraft, did not get a kill. Lovely. Well then, that's the fantastic flawless anti-aircraft capability of the Weasel. Its autocannon is it's capable. I mean, it can hit the planes, but where is the aircraft? There it is, and they're flying away from us. Okay, fair enough. Oh look, a bomber, and yeah, see what I'm talking about? You cannot aim properly with this thing at all. Although this bomber is a bit broken, and this bomber is definitely not having a good day, but yeah. You'll be surprised, but at that distance, you cannot really do much damage. They have to really be close to you. The range of this autocannon is really bad. And I almost flipped the tank upside down again. Every little crack in the ground, every little elevation or something can basically send this thing to the moon flying or flipping or doing 360s and stuff like that, which is hilarious. Now why am I here? I have absolutely no idea. Should not be here with this little tank, with this little vehicle. I keep calling it a tank, although it's not exactly a tank. Oh look, a mouse. I'm definitely going to do anything. I'm definitely going to wreck the mouse. See, I wrecked the mouse there. I did exactly no damage to it, but the mouse blew up. Isn't that lovely? The magic of having teammates with big guns. But yeah, you can't forget about doing anything with this tank. And of course, you hit something by accident, break the track, and yeah, dead. That's the Weasel experience, I guess. That's the Weasel experience. I mean, I don't know. This tank is. It has a very interesting hull, I would say. And that interesting hull would be perfect for a missile carrier, but unfortunately they didn't add a missile system on the Weasel, because I guess we can have that. Although ironically I did get a decent score for this thing. Well then, with that being said, that will be it for the Weasel 14A, at least for today. Maybe I'll drive the tank again another time, I don't know. We will see, but yeah. Definitely a tank that is very interesting to drive, to say the least. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.